Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matt here in not so sunny Lakeland, Florida. This is the 1991 Cadillac that I've just listed up for sale on eBay. It is in impeccable condition, considering the mileage. Brief history on the car. I won't bore you too much. My grandmother bought this car brand new in 1991. I have receipts and documentation for every single thing that has ever been done to this car since it was brand new. It is a one-owner car. For the past 6 years, my grandmother was put into a nursing home, so they left this car sitting in front of her house for 6 years, so that it appeared like somebody was home, and then unfortunately my grandmother passed away recently. My mother asked me if I could get the car running again, because it hadn't been driven in 6 years, and so that she could donate it to a local high school or something. Well, I got the car running and kind of fell in love with the car when I first drove it. Maybe it was just for sentimental reasons, but I kind of fell in love with it, and I told my mom, I said, don't donate this. Let me have it. Let me do some work on it. So I've done quite a bit of work to it since I've gotten it and cleaned it up. There's still a couple things left that I want to do, and I'll go over those in the video with you as thoroughly as possible. I'm a huge advocate of trying to disclose everything. So I'll try and make sure that nothing's hidden. I'll tell you everything that's done, and I'll tell you everything that it still needs, which, quite frankly, is not much. So it is a 1991 Cadillac Sedan Deville. This is the spring edition. The kind of the eggshell yellow color with the gray lower panels. And I'll get up a little closer. This car was so filthy when I got it that you could almost do sand art in it. So it is the original paint. I did thoroughly deep clean the car, and then of course did a 3-stage polish on it, waxed it, sealed it. It is the original paint. I mean, it has some flaws in it and things like that, but all things considered, you know, this car's what, 28, 29 years old, and it's beautiful considering. Now, I do understand that it's not really old enough to be considered a classic Cadillac. It's not really new enough to be worth a ton of money. But it is incredibly rare when you consider the condition of this car, not to mention the documentation and everything that comes with it. So, we'll start up front. The engine, it does have 105,000 original miles. As I mentioned before, it does have all the documentation that's ever been done to this car. I believe at one point they replaced the entire fuel injection system, and that was a $1,600 job through Cadillac. So, you know, it's not a show car or anything like that, but it does run excellent. It does not leak, it does not smoke, it does not tick, it does not knock. It's got plenty of power. It runs perfect. Every single thing in this car works. Every light bulb, every gauge, every switch, everything. Cruise control, windshield wipers, the power trunk. It even has the original air ride suspension, and I know typically that has long since been replaced with a more typical less complicated suspension. This has the original air ride in it, and it does still work. So the hood is a little tricky to get open. The cable is a little bit loose. That's why I started this with the hood open. So I will close it. So we'll take a walk around the car. This is the worst spot on the car. Grandma hit something and dinged it a little bit. I'll get from the top so you can kind of see how deep it is. It's a little ding. It is the worst spot on the car. The original grille was cracked and smashed all to pieces. I did purchase this one on eBay. It was actually pretty difficult to find. But it is the original grille for the car. That little medallion on there was something that my grandfather was given when he first bought the car, so I reinstalled it. The license plate stays with me. Sorry, I had that made. So let me get up real close to the paint. It's kind of hard to see. It's you can see it is the original paint, kind of the cracking of the original paint, but the surface is just as smooth as can be from all the polishing that I've done. So it's kind of neat that you can say that the paint is original and it's in as good a shape as it is. So I did put new tires on it. The original ones were dry rotted, had flat spots. They're just, you know, typical white walls, but they are brand new. They have 10 miles on them, maybe. I purchased these wheel covers. They are new old stock. I found them on eBay. They were never installed on a car. All 4 of them, they all match. The chrome is impeccable. It's brand new. So walk around the outside. A couple little nicks on the mirror, which is pretty typical for a car this age. Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. All of the glass is perfect. No cracks, no chips, no spider webs, nothing. It is all original and perfect. Let's see what we got here. Power antenna does work when you turn the radio on. It's an old radio. It doesn't sound great, but it does work. The power trunk close does work as it is intended to. Let me get back down here. Looks like Grandma might have maybe bumped something small with this little trim piece back here. The metal bumper still looks great. Chrome's in good shape, but this little plastic piece has a little crack in it. Let me pop the trunk open for you. Oh, the keys are inside. I'll come back to the trunk. I think, yeah, this might have been bumped at one time too. Looks like somebody put a screw in it. So it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. I'm not sure why they put that screw in there, but I don't know. Maybe it was loose. Grandpa was pretty ingenuitive. So again, brand new tires, brand new wheel covers. Oh, little scratch right there. I want to point that out. Make sure you see it. Otherwise, all the panels are there, all in good tact. The chrome around the windows is all good. Once again, everything does work in this car. Every button, every switch, power mirrors, you name it. Everything works in this car. Everything. Alright, so we'll hop inside. The interior. It is a yellow leather interior. I've never seen anything like it before, to be honest with you. It's pretty impressive. I did do quite a bit of cleaning on it. It was pretty filthy. You get up close, you know, you've got some typical cracking for a car of this age, but you notice in the bolsters it's not split or ripped or anything like that. So yeah, pretty nice, especially considering the age of the vehicle. See here, dash is in great shape. No cracks, no splits. It's not even sun bleached. This car, it wasn't kept in a garage, but it was kept under a carport. So it may have been exposed to the elements, but it was never exposed to the sun. Ashtray, never been used, ever. And I believe the cigarette lighter still works as well. So all the power windows, power locks. Power windows are a little slow, which is typical for this era of GM, but they do all work. I lubed them all up. They were really slow when I got the car, but I lubed them all up. They work good now. Air conditioning works like a charm. Ice cold. Heat works. Cruise control works. Everything works. Even the little dome lights up here work. Everything. Even the little indicators back there on the roof. Let me turn the car on. When you turn on your turn signal, even those work. Like every light bulb, everything in this car works. So I did just turn the car on. I didn't start it. Let's see what we got here. This panel, it's very common for these to go out, the fuel data center panel. It's very unusual that this still works. It does indicate your miles per gallon and how much fuel you have left in the tank. Now, I have noticed a couple times that it tends to flicker on and off, but I wanted to show you that the panel does in fact work. The panel doesn't need to be replaced, because what I've also noticed is when it does flicker on and off, if you tap the headlight switch, it kind of flickers some more. So the problem is this cheap little $10 GM part, not this. So real simple fix, real easy fix, but I wanted just you to see it working, just in case when I go for a drive later, in case I start driving it and it cuts out. The problem's not the panel; it's this little headlight switch. So, but yeah, let me hop in the back. Back seats are in great shape. Beautiful yellow leather. You can see, I mean, the little lights in the doors work, and you know, the carpet it's in great shape. It's got that brown shag, early 90s carpet, but it's in good shape. It could probably use a steam cleaning, but there's no heavy stains or anything like that in it. Door sills are all clean, not rusted out. This car doesn't have any rust on it. When I first got it, there was a slight tapping in the suspension, front suspension, not the engine, front suspension. It didn't affect the way that it drove. It just was more irritating. In fact, when I drive it, I probably won't even be able to get it on video because it's so faint. But I'm kind of neurotic about these type of things, so I bought every part for the entire front suspension of this car. Every one of them. I don't know which part it is that's going to fix it, but it all comes with the car. As I mentioned in the auction, my family and I are moving to Europe. We're taking our newer cars with us, and we can't take this one because we're only allowed to take one car per driver. Incidentally, the Indian's coming with me. If you happen to know somebody that wants a Ducati Superbike, that's going to be going up on eBay as well. So, all of the parts, you can see those two boxes over there down on the floor. The box on the top, I haven't even opened them yet because I haven't had time. The box on the top is the bearings for the top of the struts. The box on the bottom is every suspension component in the entire front end of this car. Ball joints, tie rod ends, everything. So again, I just haven't gotten to it. I haven't had time yet. So I got an original set of rear fender skirts back there too, if you're interested. It was one of those projects I wanted to do, so I bought them on eBay and just kind of haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'll put them in with the car too if you want it. But the car can be driven as is, as I'm going to show you right now. All right. Engine's running. Air conditioning works great. Works as it should. I know you can't feel it in the camera, but the AC blows ice cold. Wow, that's fun. Now, I can't find a station, but oh, okay. It works. It's not a great stereo, but it is the original stereo, and it works. All right, so safety first. Let me put on my seatbelt. Power steering works wonderfully. Kind of a tight driveway. Okay, there we go. Brakes still feel a little squishy, not undrivable, but they could use a little bit of attention. Transmission shifts, you can barely even feel it. I can feel that little bit of tapping in the floorboard. When I first got the car, I changed out the subframe bushings, all 4 of them, underneath the car. I kind of thought that would solve the problem, but it didn't. Like I said, you can't hear it, you can't really feel it. It's just a very, very light tapping. It's some suspension component that I just haven't had the opportunity to dig into, but it does not affect the way that it drives at all. So yeah, brakes feel a little bit squishy, but it's not undrivable. I'm going down a pretty steep hill and stopping just fine. It is super quiet, super comfortable, rides like an absolute cloud. Rides absolutely beautifully. As you can see, hands are off the wheel, tracking straight. No problems at all. The alignment is good. It's just that little tapping that I know you can't hear in the video, but it drives me absolutely insane because I'm a little neurotic about these things. Cruising along at about 30 miles an hour now. Hopefully this light doesn't take too long. I wanted to do a quick acceleration test on the car. Oh, good, we just got a green arrow. Alright, so I'm going to point the camera down at the speedometer and hammer it. It's not a race car, but there we go. No knocking, no ticking, no nothing. That's not too shabby for a 91 Cadillac, huh? Braking hard, no shaking. So as you can see, it is a 28-year-old car, 29-year-old car. You know, a couple of very minor issues, but all things considered, absolutely beautiful running. I am in a bit of a bind. I'd love to keep it as kind of a testament to my grandmother, but we can't take it with us, and we're moving soon. I was offered a job in Belgium, and I've got to get rid of it. I've got to get rid of a lot of stuff, actually. So if this is something you think you might be interested in, then I certainly welcome any questions that you have. I will continue to keep the car in my garage until you can come down to Lakeland and pick it up or have it shipped or whatever you want to do. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't make a drive. I mean, it is almost 30 years old, so I can't put any guarantees on it, but it's given me no indication that this car wouldn't make a cross-country drive at all. So that's entirely up to you. Personally, I would have it shipped, but it's your call. It is ice cold in this car. Air conditioning works great. As you can see, I mean, I'll go outside real quick while the engine's still running. I mean, you can barely hear it. It's not knocking, it's not ticking. It's it's a great old car. I'm kind of gonna miss it. Alright folks, that's a really long video. Sorry to have taken so much of your time. Please ask any questions if you have any, and hopefully we'll get to speak with you soon. Thanks folks.